Chris Jericho to WWE. So, let me just time code it while I'm here. This is from WrestleZone, this write-up. Is a WWE return on the horizon for Chris Jericho when his contract with All Elite Wrestling expires later this year? Over the weekend, the former AEW World Champion got the wrestling world buzzing after liking a post on Instagram stating his contract with the company was up at the end of this year and that he'd be open to a WWE return depending on the situation. We now have an interesting update regarding WWE's interest in a possible Chris Jericho return next year. On the latest episode, Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer spoke on the Chris Jericho situation. Chris Jericho is actually a really big story. Quote, his AEW contract is up at the end of the year or late in the year, and there's certainly been lots and lots of talk about WWE. I know from a WWE standpoint that there is lots of talk there about Jericho. People speculating Royal Rumble. Nobody has officially said anything, nor will anyone officially say anything. So, what do you? I know it's got your best friend Meltzer involved here, but it seems that quite a lot of people are now speculating that Chris Jericho... He's not been on AEW TV since April. He had a Fozzy tour, and then also he's also suspiciously lost a lot of weight while being off from AEW TV, and maybe that's cause for more speculation that he's trying to get in shape for the big show, WWE. Not the big show, but you know what I mean. What do you think?
Well, if I was Tony Khan, I would say, well, why are you losing weight and getting in shape? Is it because you may be interested in those other people? See, it's hard to read anything into this. See, I think this could be a vanity project for Jericho. And he was a big name for them at one time. But if you watch Jericho lately, he did gain weight, and his work suffered because of it. But how old is Chris now?
54 now.
He's a little bit old for them to really be interested in him. You know what I mean?
As a main eventer or at all?
Anywhere. I mean, I know what since he made big money for him before, he'd be expecting that big money again, and I don't know if they would. But see, we don't know. It's changed hands, so they may be willing to take him in over there, and at the money he wants or close to it. So I don't know. This is almost since they've changed ownership and changed hands and viewpoints and everything else. I don't know. If it was me, I would say I'd be interested in him as an agent or a manager or some kind of a mouthpiece. But in the ring, I think his better days are behind him. And I think he'll even tell you the same thing. At 54, you're not the same guy you are when you're 24 or 34 or even 44. So how long has he been in this business? He's been in since the early 20s.
1991.
He's been in 30-something years. Huh?
1991. So nearly 35 years now.
Okay. That's what he's been in the business. So but he knows wrestling. I'm not saying that. But can he still go in the ring? And I don't know if they'd be interested in him in an actual in-ring slot.
Yeah, it's interesting. If he does lose 30, 40 pounds, I mean, that could make all the difference. It could take 5 years off, his movement and stuff. But yeah, the last couple of years, he wasn't doing himself any favours. There was, especially like, I think a lot of people are saying, dude, just put on a sleeveless top. You'd shave 10 years off you if you did that, but he always refused to. And yeah, he was getting really fat at one point. So hopefully he is losing weight for numerous reasons. But he could lose a lot of weight and move 10 years younger.
So does he know at this point, or can you tell, has AEW made any moves to keep him?
Well,
or does he know he's going or what?
Here's the interesting thing. We can only speculate. But what does Tony Khan do every single time when he knows a wrestler is going to jump to WWE? What does he do?
Well, he starts talking to him and re-signs him.
No. If he knows that the wrestler is going to definitely go to WWE, he does the same thing every time. He keeps them off TV.
Keeps them off TV. But why don't he follow the old wrestling tradition? Why don't they just beat him on TV with some of their stars they're trying to bring him on? Why just leave him off? That doesn't make sense to me. If you were leaving back in the day and they knew, of course, we would give our notice or they would give us a notice. They give the talent a notice. But for the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you'd be looking at the lights every week because you were putting over somebody that they were going to push or you were gone. And the logic behind it is that, hey, he's not going to be here, so let's help these other guys. So who is he put over on AEW TV?
Well, he was working with Big Bill
he's put a few guys over.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think that was always one of it. Well, the AEW fans would criticize him that he didn't put anybody over, even though he worked with a lot of the younger guys. I think you can level that criticism to a point, not entirely, because there's certain guys like MJF who benefited, of course, and then there's other guys like Sammy Guevara, who's in a worse spot than when he started 5 years ago. So, I mean, you can't just level all that on Chris Jericho, obviously. But
what happened to Sammy Guevara? What was this? What happened to him?
Supposedly, he was difficult to work with. He was suspended after doing a shooting star press and landing his knee right on Jeff Hardy's head, and given a concussion. And now he's just languishing for the most part on Ring of Honor, which, as we say every time, practically nobody watches.
Mm-hmm. How many people actually watches that show?
In the tens, only 20,000 maybe.
That's what I heard. And I went, only 20,000? I mean,
dude, half the clips we post, more people watch them. I'm not joking. With Stevie, if we do less than 20,000 views on a clip, we consider it a failure. Yeah. So, like 85% of those videos do better than Ring of Honor every single week. It's just, it's nothing. It's a complete waste of money. No one's buying it on no one wants to buy Ring of Honor television rights. They've tried. That's why they moved Chris Jericho to Ring of Honor, to try and entice some broadcaster to pay for the rights to broadcast Ring of Honor television. And Chris Jericho is the most visible name on that show. That's why he was moved there. And no one did.
Okay, so Chris Jericho is on the AEW show. I mean, the Ring of Honor show.
He was for a while, yeah. That's why he was moved over. And then after that wasn't working, he moved back to AEW again. Appeared for both. So,
well, you're going to have to quit giving me this Ring of Honor and this AEW questions because I know nothing about them.
I know,
but I don't know. Maybe Mr. Khan is learning a little bit about the wrestling business, or maybe he don't give a crap.
It could always be that.
Maybe.
Okay, so with everything I've armed you with that we know so far. Is Jericho leaping back to WWE at the end of the year, or do you think he's going to stay put in AEW? Or do you think it'll be better for him?
I think he's going to stay where he is.
You just don't think WWE is interested?
I don't think they would be. I think he's a great talent, but he's a little bit, as they say, long in the tooth now to do it. So. Hey, I've been there. I mean, when you get out of that ring and you get out of that, then you get out of shape and, it gets harder and harder and harder. So when you're young, you can go and get in shape. And I don't know how much drawing power he would have. Yeah, they might know Chris Jericho. They might know him, but who's he going to work with over there? Who is in Ring of Honor? Who could he work with over there? Huh?
In Ring of Honor? I don't know.
See? So who's he going to work with?
Sammy Guevara. Why not? He's already there.
Well, you got to build that base first, and then you got to go from there. If they're drawing 10 or 20,000 people, if those ratings are that bad, I don't think, they can't. But if you have more money than you have brain, I think it doesn't matter because if most business people look at it, well, what can he bring in? Can he produce a profit? How much profit? But if it's not doing anything, I don't know what you're judging it on anyway.